just want to be a student. So Prabhupada said, well, that's fine. But you have a job. And I said, yes. Prabhupada lit up and said, oh, what is the salary? And then Prabhupada explained to me Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. He explained Krishna telling Arjuna to do his duty, to do devotional service, to work for Krishna, but not partake of the fruits of the activity, give all the fruits of activity to Krishna. So Prabhupada explained to me, then he gave me a very practical instruction, first instruction. So he said, you can be my student, and you can also do your job. And you can also give the fruits of your job to Krishna. So my first service was to work and to give my salary to Prabhupada.
Brahmananda later told me that he asked Prabhupada, how do I give my salary to Krishna? And Prabhupada said, you give it to me and I will give it to Krishna. So that's how... Actually, when Brahmananda gave, it was $400 a month, and Prabhupada said he got relief because he was maintaining. Nobody was giving money because they all had apartments. We give $10, $20, but it was Prabhupada's responsibility to pay the rent, to pay the gas bill, and to pay the all the utilities, the light bill. Prabhupada had to do that. He kept a diary. I have I scanned both diaries. I have them, and you can see where Prabhupada keeps accounts in his diary, what was spent, what was brought in. And Prabhupada was very careful in spending the money until he appointed me as treasurer to help him, so he doesn't have to do it anymore. And that's how ISKCON got started as a practicing society. So we finished with March in San Francisco with the letters. And April is when Prabhupada came back to New York City. And Prabhupada spent 3 months in San Francisco. And it was very important because he installed the first deity of Lord Jagannath in San Francisco. I mean, these things are just incredible that he comes to San Francisco and there's a boy, Shamshunda, who knew how to carve wood, and he carves Jagannath. I mean, you think about that, it's 1 in a million or a trillion that would happen. And here Prabhupada's installing Jagannath in San Francisco in 1967. I mean, it's a miracle. If you just think about it, what are the odds that would happen? That Prabhupada would go to San Francisco and install Lord Jagannath. And later, Lord Jagannath came to New York, I think a year later. It was in 68, I think. He kept it in his apartment because we didn't get the 61 2nd Avenue yet. And it was kept in his living room where he offered the prasadam. So today, no, I don't know how to get out of here. Oh, good. So, since there's no letters for April, because he came back around April 10th to New York City, and we were so happy. I mean, we got Prabhupada back, and the devotees in San Francisco, they had to go through separation with exactly what we went through. And they thought we weren't taking care of Prabhupada properly because there were no women involved. Whereas in San Francisco, there was Jamuna, there was Janaki, there was Harsharani, there was Malati, and a woman's touch is there, to take care. So they thought we would overwork Prabhupada. They tried to keep Prabhupada in San Francisco. But Prabhupada, he felt that the foundation was, was permanent in San Francisco, that he could come back to New York, because he really wanted to see about the building, to see if things were going on properly. I mean, after all, Prabhupada was in, all the devotees there only had association for 3 or 4 months with Prabhupada, so he wanted to see that everything was okay. And then, of course, the most terrible thing happened in May, which really put the devotees on a mature level, is when Prabhupada got his stroke. And he eventually had to go back to India. And for me, because I was only 18, well, I turned 19 in 67, that was a difficult time because we didn't know if Prabhupada was going to come back, if he was going to survive. Because when you get a stroke, you have paralysis. And Prabhupada mentions about his health. He talks about it in a conversation. And it covers the years 1950 to 1966. And it was, Guru Maharaj gave me indication that now you can start for America. So Prabhupada says, I wanted to remain as a grihastha and preach. But Guru Maharaj did not like this idea. I could understand. Sometime I was dreaming that he was calling me, and I was horrified that I'll have to go away from home. So at last it happened. So I left my home in 1950. Get my glasses. And became a vanaprastha. So I was living sometimes here and there. In 1959 I took sannyas, but that back to Godhead was going on. Then there was some inner dictation that this paper, Back to Godhead, I am publishing, people are taking. Some friend advised me that, why don't you write some books? That will be nice. So then I began to translate Srimad Bhagavatam. The reason being is because in magazines, at least in America, magazines people keep, but then they throw them away. But books, they keep on the bookshelf. I know in my house, my father would get Life magazine, Look magazine, Time magazine, and he'd stack them up. And then at one time he'd throw them all away. So the friend is right. The books you don't throw away. You keep on your bookshelf. So that's when Prabhupada started to translate Bhagavatam. And because I left home, so practically I had no income. With this Back to Godhead I was selling, I was somehow or other maintaining. And whatever little money I had, that was finished. Then I wrote books, Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto was finished, so I approached the Baji of Dalmia Trust. He was the secretary. Baji was the secretary of Dalmia Trust in 1962. So I asked him, you take this publication. So I'm very much obliged to Baji. He said that our English printing is not very efficient. You can get this book published from elsewhere. I shall partly help you. So he helped me with some money from the Dalmia Trust, and I first of all published my first part of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I published the second part also, and there was sale. Then there was necessity of money. I was getting money by selling Srimad Bhagavatam. Everyone appreciated. Even the American embassy here in Delhi, they purchased 18 copies, and they gave me open order that whatever this Bhagavatam will be published next part and subsequent parts, this is open order. 18 copies each part, 18 sets. That order is still there. So after publishing 3 parts, then automatically Guru Maharaj gave me indication, now you can start for America. So when the 3rd volume was finished, then he started to make plans. So somehow or other in 1965, I went to America with great difficulty. But I took about 200 sets of books. The customs clearance was done. I told him, I am taking these books for distribution, not for sale. Anyway, they passed. And with these books, because you have to pay tax, duty tax. So I reached America, and I was maintaining myself by selling these books for 1 year. There was no friend, and I was living in an apartment with great difficulty. Still, the whole stock and my typewriter, my tape recorder, everything was stolen. That's when he was living in the office building at West 72nd Street. In this way, I became very much depressed, and I was going to the shipping company when the next ship is going back. Just see, Prabhupada was thinking of going back. Ooh. When is the next ship going to India? So they gave me such and such date. Then I thought, let me wait for some time more. Then I shall return back. I had return ticket, of course. There was no difficulty. In this way, 1966, by selling these books, I had only $200. And I dared to take one apartment and storefront. Storefront $125 and apartment $75. So I had only $200, so I advanced him $200. Because nobody gave money. Prabhupada, Mukunda found the place, but he didn't offer any money. Nobody offered any money. I mean, Prabhupada would get some donations, $10, $5, $10 in this way. You could see it in his diary. So he was living in I did not know how to pay the next month's rent. So I started in 66 lecturing in a storefront and living in that apartment at 26 2nd Avenue. Then gradually these boys, American boys and girls, began to come, and then I started my kirtana in Tompkins Square. More and more these younger Americans, they came to me, and things were organized. Then I registered the Krishna Conscious Society under the Religious Act of New York in 66, and gradually people took interest. People means the younger section. All the boys and girls, they were from 16, not all 16, but there were 16. Krishna Das at that time was 16. Actually, Saradia was 14. She was the younger sister of Krishna Das. She recently passed away too. In 2017 or 18, she passed away. Harigriva was 20. Most of the people were in their 20s, 24, 25, 26. Well, she came later. So Harigriva, Kirtananda, Keith, and some other boys, Satsarup, Makund. In this way, 5 or 6 students used to come. Gradually it developed. Then we started next branch, San Francisco, then Montreal, then Buffalo, and then Boston. So that's how Prabhupada carried on. And then Prabhupada was being really overworked in every way by lecturing, giving kirtan, cooking. I mean, it was way too much for a 70-year-old person, and his health was not good anyway. I mean, he talks about the different heart attacks. He says, I was attacked by heart attack thrice while on the ship, twice. And Gargamuni says, on the ship twice? Oh. Prabhupada, consecutively 2 days attack. Actually, I would have died on the ship before reaching your country. I could not understand was a heart attack. The pain was so severe, I thought, I am now dying. And it was done 2 nights. And I was very much afraid whether on the 3rd night, if this night also again some pain like that comes, then I'll die. But 3rd night did not pain. It was suspended. It came in New York, and you know it. The left side was paralyzed. That's when we went up. Now, this happened on Memorial Day weekend in May. Prabhupada was giving classes on the Chaitanya Chaitamrita for the teachings of Lord Chaitanya book. He actually started that in November of '66. But he curtailed it when he went to San Francisco, lecturing sometimes on CC, sometimes on Bhagavatam, sometimes on Bhagavad Gita. But he was mainly giving the morning classes on the Chaitanya Chaitamrita. It came in New York, and you know it, the left side was paralyzed. Yeah, so we were all waiting downstairs in the storefront for Prabhupada. This is like May 29th, May 30th. It was on the Memorial Day weekend. And Prabhupada didn't come down, and he always came down. He was always right on time, never missed. So we ran upstairs, and I personally saw him laying on the floor in his room. And his body was twitching. And we were like horrified. I mean, actually, no one knew what to do. But Brahmananda stepped up his leadership abilities, and he knew we had to do something. And that's when he tried to call doctors. But all the doctors had gone out of town for the Memorial Day weekend. So all he got was answering services on every doctor. He went through the phone book. Nothing. So Gargamuni says, yes, left side, we had to massage constantly. Prabhupada said that's the only cure for heart attack, is massaging the heart and keeping and massaging the legs, because heart attack usually happens in the legs or in the back of the neck. Brain aneurysm, that's a stroke. It happens in the legs or in the back of the neck. Sometimes you get pains in the neck, immediately start massaging your neck, because that's where the blockage is. Prabhupada, no, they were arranging for some operation. Yes, those doctors. We're talking about when we put him in the hospital in those days. That was the only place we knew to help him, because we didn't know what to do. I told Kirtananda, give me massage. Gargamuni says, I can remember, I wheeled you down for a test. The heart was also very painful still. And Gargamuni says, they wanted to take some blood and I had to stop them. They were examining my brain. Then I thought I must go away. I told doctor, I'm all right, I can go. And Gargamuni said they wanted to do many tests. They wanted to take also from spine. And Prabhupada says, yes. That was in '77 in Bhubaneswar. Prabhupada talked about a lot of his personal life in Bhubaneswar. It was 1977. So, ultimately, I took Prabhupada out of the hospital. The story was I wheeled him down on his gurney, and he was sitting in a lotus position with his bead bag chanting, sitting up. His back was toward me. I was pushing him in the gurney. We got onto the elevator and went down to the basement where they did the tests. And they had promised no needles. They were just going to do some tests, somehow some x-rays or something, but they said no blood and no needles. They promised us. So I wheeled the gurney into a room, and there was a separator, a room separator made of cloth and wood. But from behind that separator, a lady nurse came with a needle this big. I go, oh, no, 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 no. And I stood in front of Prabhupada, between the nurse and Prabhupada. I said, you have to go through me before you put that needle in my guru's body. And Prabhupada said, immediately take me back. Now, I couldn't remember what floor we were on. There was only 3 stories. So I thought maybe we'd go to the 2nd floor. So we went on the 2nd floor. I took him back, and the lady was angry. I said, you're going to kill the old man. But I listened to Prabhupada, not to the nurse, you know. So I wheeled him down the 2nd floor, and Prabhupada was looking in each room like this, seeing if it was his room. I didn't know which room. I didn't remember. I didn't think this would happen. So then we went back on to the 3rd floor, and that was his floor. And again, he was looking in each room, and then he said, there. And we went into the room. Then he said, now call Brahmananda and bring the car. So I immediately called Brahmananda, and they brought the car. And we put Prabhupada in a wheelchair and wheeled him down, and the doctors were all yelling at us. They said, you're going to kill him. He can't leave the hospital. He'll die. Of course, there was no law that he had to stay there. We had the freedom to take him out if we wanted to. And Prabhupada wanted to leave. So that's all we thought about. And Prabhupada said we saved him from a brain operation because they wanted to experiment to see why so many young people are joining this old man. What power does he have over these people? And by studying the brain, they could find out what this brain is. You see, this is what the scientists do, you know. So.
Gargamuni, in those days, where did you find a phone? Was it a payphone?
No, we had a phone. In fact, we got the phone, we put it in Prabhupada's room.
Yeah.
And there's a conversation where in San Francisco, they were calling him at 12 o'clock at night, asking him, are you fine, Swamiji? And finally he said, get this phone out. So we put it in the temple. So he had a phone. It's in his diary. He printed the phone number. So.
How did you call from the hospital? Was it a payphone that you used? Do you remember?
No, we went down to the temple and called. We called Beth.
No, when you called Brahmananda.
Oh, yeah. No, I used the hospital at the front desk where the nurse's desk was. I said, I need to use the phone, and they let me use the phone.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It was so hard to make phone calls in those days.
Yeah. Well, we had the slugs
Right.
in those days. We learned how to keep in contact with each temple, Montreal and San Francisco. We used these brass slugs, they called them. And we put tape over the hole, and they were 25-cent size. And we could put them in the payphone and fill up the payphone with those slugs. Finally, the phone company got wind of it because they come every month and empty out, and they see it was all slugs. So they got rid of the payphone. So we went to another payphone. It was right by the gas station. So then we went to another one across the street. There was another payphone. We used that one, and then got rid of that one. So that didn't last very long.
Was there any concern about how Prabhupada would pay his bill at the hospital?
No. I think in those days they didn't ask us for money, and we took them out. So we didn't pay anything. It's not like it is nowadays. You have to pay, or you got to have insurance even. If you don't have insurance, they won't even take you. In those days, it was different.
I
said he prays too much.
Yeah, I'm going to play that. Brahmananda is going to talk about that. So before we checked him into the hospital, we called, Brahmananda got some doctor on the phone. And here it is in stroke. So Brahmananda tells the story how he got this doctor to come in on Memorial Day weekend. And what Prabhupada learned from this doctor, which stayed with him for his whole life. There was something very important.
His stroke, Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend in New York, everyone leaves New York City, like this huge exodus. And I could see Prabhupada couldn't function, I mean, it was serious. So I called my family doctor, but he was out of town. We just got the answering service. I asked everybody, anyone know any doctor? Nobody knew. And I was calling, I just took the phone book, I started making random calls. Whomever I called, everyone was out of town for the weekend. Everybody goes. At least in those days. And I'm just calling, and it's hard enough to get anyone to come to a residence anyway. And I actually could not get any doctor. And, it was either bringing Prabhupada to a hospital. I didn't want to do that. And ultimately, I just got some kind of doctor referral service, municipal thing. And eventually, I was able to get to them some doctor. And finally, a doctor came. And he was this little old, I guess maybe Jewish guy. And he comes in. Of course, we didn't ask him to take his shoes off, but there we're all standing in our kind of, used to wear these jeans and t-shirts and barefoot. Walks in, there's no furniture, just a carpet. There's this old Indian man. He couldn't figure what's going on here. And there was Prabhupada very sick, and everyone was all this matter, and he just couldn't understand. So it took him a time just to understand what's going on here, and what the speaker was examining Prabhupada. And he was a very kind of boisterous type of person, and so he examines Prabhupada, and then, the stethoscope, this, that. And then afterwards he goes outside, and so we asked him, so what's wrong? He said, well, I think the old man, he prays too much. So, well, yeah, okay. So, he's just praying there, he's just sitting there praying all day, and he's got to get out, he's got to do some exercise. Prabhupada could hear him from the other room. Yep, he's got to do something, he's got to exercise, go for a walk, got to do something. Go out in the morning, take a walk. Go to the park. So, anyway, and then he just left. This guy, that's all he was saying. So eventually we did have to I did put Prabhupada in the hospital. And that's a whole thing. And then Prabhupada came out of the hospital, and took him to a house in New Jersey, rented by the seashore. Anyway, then Prabhupada did recover sufficiently. Then Prabhupada announced that now I would take a morning walk. He said, that doctor, he said something very good, very valuable. We all laughed because we thought the guy was nuts. And he said, probably, no, he was giving very good instruction. I will take that up. And Prabhupada then proceeded to take a morning walk. And Prabhupada always took that morning walk. I mean, no matter what his condition, what his health was, whatever. I mean, I know stories of Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was in Switzerland, it was snowing out. He was in a hotel, Shamsunda took him to St. Moritz, that's the whole story. But Prabhupada couldn't go outside for his morning walk, so he took his morning walk in the corridors of the hotel. Walking, and just as if he was outside, he was just walking and walking. I mean, I know when there was an automobile accident in Mauritius, and we were all had injured, even Prabhupada. The next morning, Prabhupada rang his bell. We were all aching and paining. Prabhupada, he was injured even more. And his leg and so on. He rang his bell. We were going morning walk. And we were like hobbling, and Prabhupada went on his morning walk. Prabhupada was also, he was much older than we were. Because, you feel, when there's a big tension like that, you feel the next day, all that adrenaline gives you a lot of pain. So, when Prabhupada went in, morning walk. So, Prabhupada followed that instruction.
Even Shamsunda told me a story that one time Prabhupada was so exhausted from traveling, he never experienced jet lag like we do. He would always follow his schedule. Wherever he flew to, he would follow the schedule. When his prasadam, when his massage, when he'd do the letters. I mean, there was no sense of jet lag with Prabhupada. Not like us. We'd had to sleep for a day. But not with Prabhupada. He would always follow. So Shamsunda told me this story. It's actually recorded, I think, where Prabhupada felt so exhausted he collapsed in Shamsunda's arms. And Shamsunda carried him to the bed and laid him on the bed, and Shamsunda sat with him all through the night, and he himself fell asleep at the bed, sitting down, and in the morning he felt somebody poking him with a stick, and there's Prabhupada with his coat on saying, "Morning walk, it's time for morning walk. Why are you not ready?" So this is Prabhupada. I mean, he was completely guided by Krishna. I mean, he wasn't living on his own. Krishna was forcing Prabhupada to live, to carry on his mission. And we don't understand these things, but these are the facts. So, Prabhupada mentions that he was never healthy. I did this research work, and Prabhupada's sacrifice is unimaginable. We cannot imagine. Srila Prabhupada says, actually my health has been down for a long time. From 1965 to 1977, I was never healthy. Prabhupada says it himself. So Prabhupada says people there were saying the way you are speaking, especially in the beginning, you should be killed. But the Supreme Lord has saved me from so many types of great dangers. in all respects. And as far as my health is concerned, it has been bad from the time I went abroad at the age of 70. I suffered heart attack 3 times, and since then something or other is always happening to my body. All along I have preached in an unhealthy condition. I went through such condition one time I was traveling in a motor car, and suddenly I felt like I will die now. Just my health condition was so bad. That's why. Because my health was so fragile. Imbalance of wind. When I was returning to India in 1967 for the first time, these people took care of me very nicely. I thought I will not survive. I arrived at the airport. As I was sitting, my condition became very seriously. Immediately, I came to India by force. I was prepared. If I have to die, then let me go to Vrindavan. I went back again, but I thought there was no alternative left for survival. Then I came back to Vrindavan. Actually, my health has been down for a long time, from 65 to 77. I was never healthy. Prabhupada mentions that in 1977 in Vrindavan. The heart attack was very severe. I should have died. He's talking about in New York. Nobody survives such heart attack, but Krishna saved me, that's all. That was in a class. Then he writes his dear friend. His name was Krishna Panditji. He was in charge of the Radha Krishna or Radha Ballabha temple in Chippiwada, where Prabhupada stayed from 1960 to 65, where he printed his Srimad Bhagavatam. And he did many nice services to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, without giving him a formal initiation, gave him a new name called Hari Bhakta Anudasa. That was his name. And that's how Prabhupada, sometimes he addressed him as Krishna Panditji, but he helped Prabhupada with finding the bindery, the printer, everything in Chippiwada. So I'm writing this, so Prabhupada wrote him a letter. I'm writing this letter from the hospital that's in New York. All of a sudden, I've developed some headache as well as throbbing of the chest. When I rub my chest, I feel sensation in my left hand. That's a stroke. And when I rub my hand, I feel sensation in my chest. My left hand no more works independently. Prabhupada was also blind in the left eye at that time in his room. The symptom is predominantly when I get severe pain within my head, and the trembling of the left hand is coming every 10 or 15 minutes. The boys are taking utmost care of me. There's no scarcity of care, but still, after all, this body is subject to death. I came here with a great mission to execute my spiritual master's order, but my heart is stabbing me. That's another word you can put for the book. My heart is stabbing me. Of course, I'm not afraid of Maya. I know Maya cannot touch me. But still, if I die in this condition, my mission will remain unfulfilled. Please therefore pray to Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya, and Vrindavan Bihari to rescue me this time. My mission is still not finished. I wish to live for a few more days. I repeat my symptoms so that you can take necessary care. All of a sudden, I developed some throbbing between the heart and stomach about 4 days ago. It was so exhaustive. It was like fainting. Then I consulted a doctor who came and gave me medicine, but it was no good effect. Therefore, my students at once transferred me to the hospital. We brought him to the hospital just to stabilize him. We didn't want them to give him medicine or tests or anything, but just to stabilize the heart attack. and then we could bring him back and keep massaging him. We were giving him massaging 24 hours a day. The reason why I was there, that was my time. It was like from 3 to 7 in the morning or something. I was massaging his legs, his arms, his head. So we each took a turn massaging Prabhupada. So that was my turn late at night.
So who did the typing of this? Because Prabhupada couldn't type it.
No, this is from the database.
He was, yeah, I know, but who?
Oh.
How did he send the letter? Was it handwriting? Maybe handwriting.
Well, I know after he had the heart attack, he wrote less handwriting. In
He
his,
was a left hand, he could still write with his right hand.
right. So, but I think Ayurveda medicine will be proper. Now, he wrote this on June 1st, so this is just about 3 days after the heart attack that he wrote this to Krishna Pandit. That was his official name.
So somebody's typing this for him. He's writing or he's dictating.
Well, yeah, somebody who knew would take notes in those days, was doing it. Or they did it, maybe we brought his dictaphone to the hospital and he could speak in the dictaphone and then we typed it from the dictaphone. The next letter he wrote on June 27th was to Srimati Mukherjee. He had already left the hospital. He was only in the hospital for a few days. And then he went to the New Jersey shore, Long Branch, New Jersey, where Brahmananda rented a house on the beach. The challenge is to this Maya, or in other words, it is a fight with Maya. I may inform you that the Maya has given me a great stroke very recently. Due to my incessant hard work for the last 2 years, my health has been shattered. On the 25th May, I had a heavy stroke between the heart and stomach. The boys here took all cares possible, and I'm getting well day by day. At present, I'm on the seashore in New Jersey for recouping my health, but I'm thinking of going back to India as soon as I get sufficient strength. I am now considerably old. I will be 72 years next September. But the work which I have begun in the Western world is not yet finished, and I require to train some of the American boys to preach this cult all over the Western world. In this old age, I do not know when death will overcome me, and I wish to die in the last days of my life in Vrindavan. That was to Srimati Mukherjee. So Prabhupada said, although he was getting better, he was dizzy all the time. So now I'm going to show you a video. Oh. How do I go back?
Do escape.
Huh?
Escape.
I want to go back. Okay. So this is the video. This was taken in June at Long Branch, New Jersey. And if you look at it, it doesn't look like Prabhupada had a stroke. He looks like normal. Look at that smile. I mean, does that look like a man who had a stroke? I mean, always after a stroke, there's after effects, mostly paralysis. Just like our Jayapataka, he had stroke and he has paralysis. Everybody. But nobody, Prabhupada, his paralysis completely went away. The blindness went away, the left hand, everything. Everything went away. And he's enjoying with the devotees. This is June, so it's still quite a little cool. The summers are late there. In those days, we didn't have the video recorders. Yeah, Dvaita is here, Brahmananda, Mahapurush. I think this is Purushotam.
What can I understand? Therefore, my spiritual master has ordered me to simply chant.
I mean, there's no indication that he had a stroke. It's like Krishna completely made him normal.
Simply by studying, becoming bookworm, he cannot advance.
What he really needed was heat. He really missed the heat of India. His body was meant for heat, not for cold. And New York is always cold. This Kirtananda, these Lord Jagannaths found by Malati. We all had Lord Jagannath around our neck. I asked Prabhupada, can we bring these into the bathroom? You know, when we have to go to the bathroom, could we wear, or we have to take them off? So Prabhupada said, Lord Jagannath is not around your neck. That's all he said. So I figured we should take it off, like we do our beads. But that's all he said, Lord Jagannath is not around your neck. Yeah, I have some water here. So I wanted to show what was the feelings of the devotees at that time.
So Govinda Dasi and Gerson came from San Francisco to take care of Prabhupada? Or they were in
No, they weren't there. I don't know if they were there.
They must have traveled, right, from West Coast to East Coast?
Yeah. Oh, not again. So so Brahmananda, he wanted to describe what actually happened with the devotees at this time when Prabhupada was going to leave and go back to India. What was the feeling in the hearts and minds of the devotees? And he wrote this very emotional essay that was printed in Back to Godhead. It appeared, it was... oh no, that's the wrong one. It's called Swamiji's Departure, an article from BTG number 16 in 1968. It describes Srila Prabhupada's departure from New York to India. Devotees were not sure if he would ever return. So Brahmananda, he was very good at writing, so it's not so long. It's an essay only. So we'll read it together. So Brahmananda first writes, a girl who has been coming to Kirtan wants to be initiated 30 minutes before Swamiji is to leave for the airport. He says yes. So while all the devotees are rushing about making last-minute preparations, Swamiji sits on his white sheet in his room, chanting the Lord's names on her beads, bringing another soul back to Godhead, fulfilling his master's mission up to the last minute, serving Krishna always. He emerges from his apartment smiling, a transcendental mother who has just delivered another child into eternal life. As he has done so many times before, he descends the chairs, because Prabhupada lived on the first floor, taking each step gracefully, and sweeps across the courtyard. There was a courtyard between the temple and Prabhupada's building where he lived in New York, going to join her beloved, entering the temple before the painting of Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He offers his obeisances, prostrating himself on the floor humbly, as an atom of his lotus feet, and walking up to the waiting taxi. He embraces Achyutananda and then Gargamuni, who stoops to touch his forehead to the pavement. And what I did at that time, I really didn't want Prabhupada to leave, So what I did is I held his ankles, and he couldn't move to get into the car. And he went like this. And then all of a sudden he said, "That's all right." And he slapped me on the back and pulled my sika, or pulled my hair at that time. I had long hair at that time. And then I let go. And then he got in the car. I asked him, should I come to the airport? I was printing back to Godhead. He said, no, you print back to Godhead. You keep your service is more important. No, I don't remember. Maybe. Some devotees have already left by subway, and some by our chariot. Rupa Nuga had a Volkswagen bus, so they all piled in there to go to the airport to meet Prabhupada. And some ride with him in the taxi. Brahmananda sits in the front crying. And Swamiji reaches over and slaps him on the back, a father giving his loving son support, a pal. And Ray Rama only rivets his eyes to Swami, ever attentive, and Kirtananda, sparkling, sits beside the most beautiful man in the world. Swami says in the taxi, there is no question of separation. The sound vibration fixes us up together. Even though the material body may not be there, what do we care for this material body? Just go on chanting Hare Krishna, and we will be packed up together. You will be chanting here, and I will be chanting there. And this vibration will circulate around the planet. Actually, we have to really thank Jayananda for Prabhupada's trip back to pay for the ticket, because we didn't have enough money to pay for a plane ticket to fly to India. It was Jayananda's donation of $5,000 that Prabhupada used. If Jayananda didn't give that money, Prabhupada wouldn't have had the money to fly back. He would have to take the boat, which he had a free ticket back, but that takes 40 days. And again, he would have to go through those rough waters where he got the other two heart attacks. So it's due to Jayananda that Prabhupada was able to fly back. And Swamiji says, I'll be going, but Guru Maharaj and Bhakti Vinod are there. I have asked them to kindly take care of you all, my transcendental children. The grandfather always takes care of the children much better than the father. Do not fear. And Swami says, I think this is what Krishna desires. I have come to you, but now in this old age I may be going there to Vrindavan, and you may be coming there to me and be trained up, and we will spread this movement all over the world. Ray Rama, you will go to England. Brahmananda, you go to Japan or Russia. That's all right. And Swamiji says, when Kirtananda sees Vrindavan, he will not be able to understand how I could have left that place to come to this place. It is so nice. There are no motor cars there like here, rushing, whoosh, whoosh, and smelling. Only there is Hare Krishna. Everybody always chanting, thousands and thousands of temples. I will show you, Kirtananda. We will walk all about there, and I will show you. And Swamiji says, I can understand your feeling of separation. I am feeling for my Guru Maharaj. As the cab pulls up to the terminal, the chariot also pulls up behind it. And devotees pour out chanting, cymbals clashing, chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, into the Air India terminal. And the ticket man runs from behind his protective counter and demands excitedly, what is the meaning of this? We want to ride in your airplane, one devotee says. Oh, yes, yes, I see, says the man. Air India? Asks the Swamiji. And the man says, El Al, says the man. He misunderstands. Misunderstanding, thinking the robed brahmacharis to be Arabs. Or of some kind. El Al is over there. No, Air India. We want to go to India. Oh, yes, yes, I see. And Kirtananda stands at the counter while Swamiji sits in a nearby chair chanting, dispatching all the paper business. Kirtananda, a beautiful young American brahmachari in his black suit and red tie and his budding flag, he gives the man his passport. And the man looks at the identification picture taken 2 years ago of a bearded, run-down youth, now at his beautiful brahmachari standing before you. Are you sure you are Keith Gordon Ham? That was taken before I met the Swami. I have changed. Oh, yes, yes, I see. Actually, Prabhupada saved him from Bellevue Hospital. He wanted to get money for Prabhupada, so he thought if he acted crazy, he would get some monthly income. So he went to Bellevue, which is a mental hospital. They have a mental hospital there. And he acted like a crazy man. And they examined him, and they said he is actually crazy. And they put him in the hospital without his consent. And he was there for a few days. And it was only due to Allen Ginsberg that he was able to get out by applying some political pressure. Allen Ginsberg had a friend, a House of Representative from Harlem. I forget, Adam Clayton Powell. He helped Kirtananda to get out of the Bellevue Hospital. Upstairs, we all go to the lounge. The milling people spread apart, and Swami sits in a chair, and all his disciples nestle together at his feet. Kirtananda, why not play the record? They will enjoy. And Swami sits and looks at all the awestruck people and smiles his unforgettable oceanic smile. So the portable phonograph is set up, and Hare Krishna Hare Ram is vibrated, filling what was a lounge with Satchit Ananda. The devotees dance and sing, and Swamiji enthroned just smiles contently. When the record ends, Hansaduta asks, should we collect? And Prabhupada says, why not? Says Swamiji. So Hansaduta jumps up and says, our mission is to spread Krishna consciousness. We have a temple in New York. We are always badly in need of money. Please help us. And a solitary soldier steps forward and offers Hansaduta his hat. So Hansaduta goes around to all the people that are waiting, standing by the bar, drinking and smoking intoxicants, killing both time and themselves, and allows them to benefit by sacrificing for God's service. And the soldier hat becomes filled with dollars and coins. And Swamiji says, our traveling is very auspiciously beginning. We had a nice kirtan, we had a nice collection, it is all Krishna's mercy. And a young airport exec on the move rushes over and says, collections are not allowed in the terminal, while the bar's cash register rings. But you are collecting, says Brahmananda. Yes, this is the age of Kali, says Swamiji. The other side of the record is played, and the devotees cry and cry. And Swamiji leans over and looks into Gorshunda's pained eyes and says, everything all right? In the way only Swamiji can say it, which automatically makes everything all right. And Swamiji turns to admire steadfast Rupanuga. You look like Rupa Goswami, very beautiful. And Himavati, you must come to Vrindavan and carry a water pot on your head like those Indian girls there in the picture. In the terminal there was a big poster of Indian village girls carrying water on their heads. So Prabhupada says, Himavati, you should come to India and learn this art. That's all right. And then Swamiji says, when Vivekananda came to this country, his picture was taken with so many old ladies. I have seen it circulated in India. And Swamiji smiles knowingly. Suddenly, the time arrives for Swamiji to leave. The disciples prostrate themselves, declaring their obeisances. Swamiji arises and pats them on the head, a mother blessing her brood. Swamiji goes to silent and sad. Jodharani claps her chin with his kind hand. You are doing very nicely. You go on doing your painting work. It is great service you are doing. Krishna will be pleased. Then he glides out the door, and the devotees swarm after him like a protective drone, bees following their queen. The devotees try to get past the gate and go with their master, but the guard prevents them. Advaita sees a door that promises the observation deck, but which is barred by a tiny steel turnstile, demanding the devotees duck under and jump over the gate like an army storming a barricade. Outside, a gentle rain is washing the airfield, and the devotees race across the wet deck, and there below are Swamiji and Kirtananda walking across the field. The devotees scream, Krishna, Krishna, and Swamiji turns and waves and then climbs the movable stairway. On the top, he turns and uplifts his arms, pausing for a long moment, blessing his transcendental children, standing there majestic, having come to this iron land and sown the seed of Hare Krishna, a space-age Narada Muni, saffroned and beautiful Gauranga. Our master, our friend, our father, our mother, our child, our sweetheart is gone. The devotees cry frantically. They can only utter Hare Krishna, a pack of madmen, not caring for anything, loving, chanting, increasing the ocean of transcendental bliss, jumping up and down, gorging themselves with the taste of the full nectar, which is their only desire. Bhaktas, the greatest of all yogis. And out pops Kirtananda from inside the plane onto the platform, and he stands there and dances to Hare Krishna, dances while all around him are the whines of the great airliners' engines and the scurry of the attendant vehicles and the scampering around crews, the flashing lights, the evening rain, dancing arms uplifted, beseeching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the devotees dance with him, their prabhu, tears of love decorating their eyes, flowing in torrents, all of us in ecstasy. A stewardess reaches out of the plane and taps Kirtananda on the shoulder several times before he realizes it, and he dances into the plane, and the plane is sealed. The motors whine and the tail flaps move. The lights flash and the devotees scream and cry. Damodar growling out Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, and Advaita clashing his cymbals wildly like a machine running out of control. The devotees pull back as the exhaust blasts from the plane, but Jodharani stays there, the smoking gas and heat singing her face, dancing, choking Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. With great roar, the airliner moves forward and the devotees rush to the railing and then run down the deck screaming Krishna, Krishna as the plane moves away and its roost into the night and becomes only a distant light. The devotees wait and watch. It has stopped raining. Govinda says that the raindrops are the tears that the gopis are shedding for their Krishna, and we can understand that. Devotees wait and wait, but they cannot see the plane. Their eyes are not able to see it, but they know it is there. And the devotees wait and watch until one devotee says, "Let's go back." And they walk off reluctantly, looking behind, trying to see but not being able to see. And the next morning at Kirtan, Brahmananda reads, "I do not know anyone except Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain as such even if he handles me roughly in his embrace, or he may make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, but he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally." So that's the beautiful essay that Brahmananda wrote. And everybody, this is actually, I zoomed in on this picture and you can see Prabhupada's face. Oh, that's too much. He's almost crying with tears. You can see this is Hansaduta. Behind him is Mahapurush. There's Rupanuga, Brahmananda, Prabhupada, Madhusudan, Pradyumna, Ray Rama, and Kirtananda. The rest are in the back. And Prabhupada with teary eyes with his disciples. So this was a very difficult time for all of us. We were all new devotees. And yet Prabhupada had faith that we would keep his movement going, although he was not physically present. In fact, things expanded. More devotees joined. We kept the programs going, the chanting at the same times, the prasadam. We even eventually got the new temple at 61 2nd Avenue. We got that in 68. Prabhupada came back in December of 67 to San Francisco. Then he came to New York in 68. So that's, we still have time. So I'll show you once again, because maybe some of you have not seen the 1967 Rath Yatra. Oh. Is this it? Yeah. Rath Yatra took place on around July 9th. Prabhupada left July 23rd, 24th for India. He was in San Francisco at Stinson Beach, but it was too far away, and it was in the mountains. It was on the beach, but to get there you had to go through these winding roads, and Prabhupada got dizzy from that. And he couldn't attend the Rath Yatra. Although the Rath Yatra was going on in San Francisco, he was there, but far away at Stinson Beach. That's Jagannath.
Where is he?
Well, you'll see him on the cart. That's Subal dancing madly. I don't know who that lady is, but he's certainly, that's Katamasi. This is in the San Francisco temple. That's Bhakta Neil, who did a lot of the typing from the dictaphone. That's Harsharani with her baby.
It looks like Gargamuni.
No, she was 60 years old. She was the first senior citizen.
You recognize her, Dr.
No,
This is the car on the back of Shamsundar's truck. He had an old pickup truck. There's Jagannath. Super. For the first Rath Yatra, it was pretty successful.
Who's playing on a pot? A big pot?
I don't know. Prabhupada was able to initiate 20 devotees while he was there for the 3 months. He initiated 20 devotees. Anyway, that's all for today. Any questions?
tickets in those days were like 200 rupees.
Hmm?
Tickets were about 200 rupees in those days to India. Remember? Really cheap.
Really? 200 rupees, that's only a few dollars.
$200.
Yeah, well, that was a lot for us.
Yeah.
I don't think they even have that.
She has a question.
Yes?
I'm just wondering, like, I'm quite afraid of needles myself. I'm just wondering if Prabhupada had some interesting reason for not wanting a needle at the hospital.
It's against the Vedic system to put needles in the body.
But
They use Ayurveda.
recently in Australia, it's really wonderful to be here with you. In the COVID times, they made it, we couldn't enter the temple unless we took the COVID vaccine injection. So I'm just wondering, why there's a sort of contradiction there.
Because it was the law.
It wasn't the law. It wasn't the law in the country.
I never got a COVID injection.
Anyway, we were excluded from entering the temple because of that.
Well, that's a local thing.
Okay, thank you.
So even while Prabhupada was in San Francisco, devotees were joining
Oh, yeah.
in New York.
Oh, in New York? Well, they were coming. They weren't initiated. I think Balai and those, they were coming. I think when Prabhupada came back from India, then he did a big initiation.